We're less than 1 week away from the reprised raid coming back in season 18 next Thursday, and I wanted to go over my day one raid loadouts. We're going to start with solar in this video. I'm going to go through how I create the entire build using D2 armor picker and DIM, how I save it in DIM, how I select my weapons and my armor and all that good stuff, the fragments, aspects, everything. If you're not interested in the creation of the build, but you just want to see the build itself, I'm going to have chapters on the timeline below so you can skip ahead. But I try to get all these builds ready to go and saved in DIM, so I have everything at my fingertips on day one, because there's a lot of scrambling and moving parts to that it's easier just to have everything set up in DIM, at least as a starting point, and then we can change things as we're in the day one raid. If you want to watch my team and I take on the day one raid, whether it be Kingsfall or whatever, we don't know till Tuesday officially, you can check me out on twitch.tv/AbbyHour. But first, let's talk about today's sponsor. I'm a huge fan of BenQ monitors. I currently have 3 of them, and their refurbs are the best value for your money. So when they reached out to me about the new screen bar monitor light, I had to check it out. Here's a quick before and after to show you this subtle space-saving light. It fills in my setup perfectly without any glare to my eyes when I'm gaming or working from home. There are even options to change the hue, brightness, and an auto dimmer that adjusts based on ambient light. Here's a look at the screen bar base on the top of my monitor. The back is weighted and adjusts to fit different size monitors, staying flush against the top. The screen bar itself is super easy to install into the base, and the USB cord snakes right behind your monitor out of sight. I really love the subtle light on my desk because it helps me see my keyboard and minimize the glare from the gaming late at night. The BenQ screen bar retails for $99. Links in the description to their BenQ site and to Amazon if you're interested in purchasing one for yourself. Now back to the video. All right, so a lot of us have been running solar this season. Obviously, it is solar 3.0. It's super fun. Blade Barrage is amazing for hunters right now. Star Eater Scales is also amazing for upping the damage of our super. And so we're going to be doing a solar Star Eater Scales build. I am going to be using Blade Barrage, at least for the ad clearing type encounters and any close boss fights. However, I think if it is Kingsfall, it might be worth it to run Golden Gun in some of the encounters, but we'll get there when we get there. But first, we're going to be doing a Star Eater Scales Blade Barrage build, and here are the aspects and fragments if you guys want to just put them down. I'm going to go through each one and make sure it's the one that I want for day one, because as you guys probably know, day one raiding is in contest mode, meaning it caps your power. So you're not going to be doing a ton of damage, which is one of the reasons why I'm not running like Gunpowder Gamble. While it is a fun added damage, A, you can kill yourself if you're too close to it, and B, it's not going to do as much damage to tankier enemies. So there's different considerations we have to keep in mind when we're playing a day one raid. It's more like a GM Nightfall type of thing, or really like the legendary Witch Queen campaign. Okay, so let's get into D2 armor picker. I've cleared out everything, but we have picked the Star Eater scales. But we're going to scroll down here and we're actually going to put on Ember of Char and Ember of Wonder. Let's go ahead and look at the game again. We've got Ember of Wonder is going to give us 10 resilience for rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignition, generates an orb of power. And we've got Char, which is the first one. Solar ignitions spread scorch to affected targets. These are both going to be great for mobbing, and they give us discipline and resilience, both great stats that we want to look out for. All right, so back to D2 armor picker. We've got that selected. Now on the way down, I want to say assume all legendary and assume all exotic items are masterworked and class items. I have plenty of shards, and if it's a day one raid build, I definitely want to make sure it's masterworked. After all of those filters, we're going to go back up. We're going to select Star Eater Scales, which I already did, as you can see, and then we're going to go play around with the stats. I like to do this in here before we go to DIM because it lets me know which type of mods I need to put on, stat mods I need to put on to get the result that I'm looking for. So we always want 100 resilience. Now, if DIM, I think DIM is kind of working on getting to this point where they can add in the mods for you based on what stats you want, and that would be amazing. It would be a one-stop shop to making loadouts for me. I like going here also because I like to look at wasted stats because it just makes me happy, but that is not necessary whatsoever. So we're going to do resilience 100, mobility 100, and then we're going to see how high up on the discipline we can get, which is 80, which is pretty good. You could also do like a triple 90 or something. I mean, obviously your stats are going to vary. I don't know. I'm so used to recovery being a high stat before that the difference between like having 2 seconds where I'm just sitting there and my health is not recovering is kind of like iffy. I understand that you want the max damage reduction for sure. And worst case scenario, you can run healing grenades. So we can have a 100-180 stat, and then we can put in there some mods that are going to help us get our grenade back quickly, and we're good to go. The thing about recovery now too is that from a 2 recovery, we're at 8.6 second regen time versus up here at like say 50, where we could be, if we knocked resilience down 1, we could get up to 50, which is an 8 flat. So we're really only saving 0.6 of a second from 2 to 50. And resilience from 9 to 10, it's actually 8% damage reduction. So that's way more worth it than this 2 to 5. Now, obviously on day 1, they could nerf resilience. We'll see if that happens, because right now we have a lot of different ways to get healing, get damage resistance, all that good stuff. So this is a pretty good split for me. So I think we want our intellect around 40 or so, just to kind of bump it a little bit. Since we are using Star Eaters, it's going to help us get more bang for our buck with our orbs and help us get that barrage up faster for us to use it more often against ads. But that part is definitely not necessary. But we're going to also look at our lowest wasted and our highest tier. And our lowest wasted is also our highest tier. So that's wonderful. You can see which mods it's using also, but we're going to actually open this loadout in DIM. It's going to open up our beta version of DIM, because I use the beta version, and it's going to put these armor pieces in here, and it's going to put the mods already in here that we need to make the build that we want. So we're getting these 10, 10, 8, right? We can optimize our armor if we want to. It's also going to put in the 2 fragments that we put in. We can optimize this armor here. And if you want to use different armor, you can actually just unpin these items, and it'll show you if there's any other armor you could get the same stats with, which obviously it's not. I also like to pin my class item, but we're going to go ahead and customize the rest of the subclass. So we are using Blade Barrage. You could also use Golden Gun, like I said, for more specific target, like enemies or boss damage or something. This is kind of interchangeable. I like Blade Barrage just because it's like a quick brum and you're done. We don't have to worry too much about precision or anything like that, but there are some Boomer Knights and stuff that are pretty tough, so I could see Golden Gun being an option. However, for now we're going to go with Blade Barrage. We're going to go with Marksman's Dodge, Gambler's Dodge, or Acrobat's Dodge. Really, I probably would choose either Marksman for the reload or Acrobat Dodge, which is going to make yourself and nearby allies radiant. This is going to be really great for boss DPS if you don't have like well or something like that, if you need that extra bonus damage. And then we're going to go with Triple Jump, always do. I like a Knife Trick just for ads and stuff. Obviously you can choose whatever you want there. For grenades, we're actually going to go with Solar Grenades. I like having the kind of AoE, but you could also do heal grenades if you wanted to as well. I think heal grenades might come in clutch for day 1, so that might be a go-to for me. I might end up changing that. We're going to be doing Knock them down and on your mark for the more aspects, since gunpowder only gives 1, and gunpowder gamble is really nice, but you also have to defeat targets with abilities and solar stuff, so it's kind of hit or miss in high end game content. I notice when I run GMs, I only get a few of these per GM, so it's really not super worth running it, especially because you don't get as many aspects. And then down here for our fragments, we've got our char, we've got our wonder, which is going to give us a spread of our solar ignitions. They're going to spread scorch. Our Ember of Wonder is going to give us an orb of power when we get multi-kills. And then we're also going to be doing Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants, make you and nearby allies radiant. That's another way for us to become radiant. And then I like to run Ember of Ashes, applying more scorch stacks to targets. And then lastly, we've got Ember of Solace, which is radiant and restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. So this is going to help you stay radiant for longer. Now, if you wanted to swap out one or two, you could swap out Ember of Torches if you're using the radiant dodge, because you don't necessarily need the melee attacks against combatants to make you radiant. So I would say instead of this Ember of Torches, if you wanted to use the radiant dodge, you could go for something like your solar super projectiles have stronger target acquisition, also gives you 10 intellect there. Or you could go with something like class ability grenade melee and class ability regen for a short amount of time, or your class ability recharges faster. If you're giving your allies radiant or healing them a lot, you could also use this, which is going to give you class ability melee and grenade regen for a short duration. It's going to take away 10 discipline, but it's going to give you that regen. So let's go ahead and apply all of those. So we got that going on. Oh, and you know what? Because we did the minus discipline on that one, we got to take this discipline down 1 so that it'll find our build again. So here we've got our build and our items that we want, and it's giving us all our mods here. It's placing them in the right slots. So now all we need to do is set up our mods. Obviously with this build, we want to be creating a lot of orbs, as many orbs as we can. So we're actually going to be using Harmonic Siphon. Now I can put orb up here in the search and we can get pretty much all the ways that we're going to be able to create orbs of power. So you can put Harmonic Siphon in here, and then we could put Kinetic Siphon if you want, especially if you're running something like Wither Horde. It's a great option. However, I want to put a Finder mod here probably. So for now, we'll put Kinetic Siphon, but that can always swap out to be your +3 energy for your specific ammo type for your heavy or whatever. We're going to add Absolution for all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb. We'll see if we have enough for a +3 there. And then we're staying away from all artifact mods, because next season we're going to have brand new artifact mods, so none of these are going to work next season, so we're not going to put any of these in. And then I believe that's pretty much it. We've got defeating combatants with melee damage or swords spawns an orb, but this is actually only for your allies, so you don't really want to do that. And then we could also use taking charge, which means every time we pick up an orb, we're going to become charged with light, and go ahead and select those. They're going to start putting them into the different slots here. All right, next up, we're going to look up some elemental well mods. So we can put a well in here, and we're going to take a look at what we can add. So if we're using solar weapons, which we most likely are with this build, we're going to want to do elemental armaments, which means that you have a chance to spawn a well, which is a good consistent one. If you are using a damaging grenade, you can also use elemental ordnance. We can use melee wellmaker. However, on day 1, it's kind of rare that you're going to be getting a ton of kills with your melee, maybe if there's lots of red bars. But basically we want something that's going to combine with Font of Might. So we want Font of Might for that extra bonus damage. Font of Might stacks with pretty much everything, including radiant. So when we're radiant, we also get that bonus from Font of Might. We could do high energy fire, which is also a great option. However, radiant does not stack with it. So high energy fire really would only be relevant when we're not radiant, and you can't tell high energy fire to only work at certain times. So having Font of Might is nice. And then I think we're going to do elemental armaments, because that's the most consistent way that we can get wells to spawn. Now it's up to you how you want to go here, and depending on what mods you have, you might want to change it up, but you could do Powerful Friends and like Radiant Light here in order to get an extra 20 boost to your mobility stat, especially if you don't have the gear to get up to 10 mobility. However, since we can get up to 10 mobility, I kind of want to use it for something else, not just a mobility stat booster. So looking at the mods here, I know there's a time dilation mod, which is actually really nice, especially especially if you're using Font of Might for boss DPS phases, an elemental wall mod that grants you time limited benefits. So it stacks the time duration of those mods like Font of Might. So we could add 2 of these, and now when we're getting those solar wells from our weapons or from our teammates, we're going to get Font of Might, and then it's going to give us a ×2 kind of time increase. Now it's not completely ×2. I think it's something like 5 or 6 more seconds, but in a damage phase, 5 or 6 more seconds of a 25% damage increase on top of everything else is going to help you out a lot. All right, I looked it up here on the Destiny 2 damage buffs and debuffs stacking graphic from Court, just to make absolutely sure. Radiant's actually only 10%. I thought it was higher, but I guess I was remembering incorrectly. But these do not stack together that are in this empowering buffs section. So keep that in mind if your teammates are using Ward of Dawn or Well of Radiance, that your Radiant is not going to stack with Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn, and Radiant will actually buff your Golden Gun and your Star Eater skills, Celestial Nighthawk and all that good stuff. So that's really good to know, but it's not going to be stacking with those. However, it does stack with Tether, Tractor Cannon, etc. So those are kind of nice to remember as far as a stacking guide. However, Font of Might is great because Font of Might is a separate amplification mod right down here. It's a 25%. So we're getting our 25% here. We're getting our 10% for Radiant just for when we're doing ad clear and stuff like that. And then we are getting Well of Radiance 25. Now, like I said before, high energy fire is 15. I don't think it warrants having high energy fire over Radiant. And also, by the way, I thought high energy fire was higher. They must have nerfed it recently because I thought it was a 20%. But anyways, it doesn't seem like it warrants something over Radiant, since we already can become Radiant on our solar subclass with our Acrobat's dodge or Ember of Torches. If you guys are interested in playing around with this Google Sheet, I'll definitely link it down below. It has some excellent information on stacking guides. Now, the only other thing that we really could add would be, instead of one of these time dilations, we could put another way to get wells in here. We could put like Explosive Well Maker, could be a good option as well. See what I did there? Okay, let's go in here. Explosive Well Maker. This means anything that's like explosion damage, really. So like if you're using a wave launcher, a wave frame grenade launcher, this will drop solar wells for you. If you're using a rocket launcher, this will drop solar wells for you. If they explode because of incandescent or dragonfly or firefly, this will drop wells for you. So Explosive Well Maker is a good like all around mod to have on. And let's unpin this, and it's actually probably gonna use our stasis one. Perfect. All right, so here's our basic loadout for our day 1. Let's go ahead and go into the arms and see if there's anything we want to put in there, just like our little reloads and champion mods. Now, in season 18, we're probably going to be putting champion mods in there, so we don't really want to worry about it too much. Now, we could put grenade kickstart or something, but let's see, how many do we have here? 7. So we've got 3 points in there. So we could put something like a SMG reloader, or we could put something like grants ability, yada yada. So for now, I think I'm going to just put submachine gun loader, because I'm pretty sure I'm using Callus mini tool going into the raid with the solar build. But you could do something like impact induction, or bolstering detonation type of thing to get your class ability energy back. If you have lower stats, so if you can't get the 100s and all that good stuff, then you would definitely want to use some of these mods down here to help get your ability energy back. Now, another option that I'm considering for day 1 is this explosive personality. I haven't leveled it up fully yet, but it is a solar wave frame launcher, which would play into that explosive personality. It's a nice special weapon that I really like to use. It's got that grenade launcher, wave frame type of thing. I don't know. It's just very satisfying, gives me that explosive. and it's going to stack up all my scorch and stuff for me. And we're going to put some more mods in. So on our chest, we always want to have concussive dampener. We're probably going to put the +2 armor mod from the next season, which I believe is going to be solar and arc or something, but we're probably going to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it open for now. And then on our feet, we don't have much left. On our legs, we have a 1 point, and we could probably put like recuperation or something like that would work well on our legs. And then on our class item, we've got 6 points on here. This is probably going to be where like sundering glare is going to go. Most importantly would probably be a utility kickstart. So we'll go ahead and put 2 of those in there. All right, so looking at these mods, I noticed that we don't really have anything that's taking advantage of the taking charge. So I'm actually going to go in, I think, and take off a time dilation, and I might put reactive pulse in here. I haven't used this mod in a long time, and it might be good against a lot of the melee thrall that we're going to see with the hive if it is King's Fall. Of course, that's just a rumor going around right now that everybody thinks it is. So we'll see on Tuesday if it is or not. I think it probably is. But that's where we're going to be with that. We're going to swap around a couple things. DIM's going to do it for us. We're getting charged with light through picking up orbs, and then we are expending our charge with light through radiant light. You could also change this one from taking charge to, where is it? Elemental charge. Right here, which is going to give us a ×2 when we pick up 1 solar well, and it also costs less. So it's a little bit more of a convenient way to get charged with light if you're making wells, of course. Obviously, taking charge is going to be more consistent for boss damage, because if you have a well or a bubble or somebody's popping their super immediately, you're going to get those orbs. So you're going to want taking charge instead of elemental charge. But that looks pretty good for right now. So we're going to go ahead and equip this. I'm going to make sure that I am in orbit in the game, and then I'm going to go ahead and equip all of this right here, and we're going to go over to our game, and we're going to see everything changing. Our outfit's going to look all wonky because I have not transmogged this whatsoever, but it's going to go ahead and apply all of the mods that we had onto our character and all of our aspects and fragments and all that good stuff. All right, so last thing I did was actually change my chest piece to arc, since it's easier to activate that reactive pulse with an arc resistance mod. And I know there's going to be hive boomers in King's Fall, so we've got concussive dampener and arc resistance. However, if I don't care as much about the powerful finisher overshield, then I can go in here and I can change it to a reserves mod, no problem, easy peasy, or the +2 that we're going to get from the artifact next season. I've got 100 mobility, 100 resilience. We've got 20 recovery, which is scary, but we've got 70 discipline, 50 intellect. Our stats are looking pretty nice. I'm enjoying it. These are some of my go-to weapons. We've got, Callous Mini Tool, Wither Horde, of course, Arbalist. The new Tears of Contrition is really nice for a scout rifle, or if you have Hung Jury. Peace of Mind is also another amazing pulse rifle. It's got Land Tank, which is a great damage resistance origin trait for that day 1 raid. We've got Outbreak Perfected. I've got my Trustee in here, my Explosive Personality. We've got a Funnel Web if we need it. Actually, I have a better Funnel Web in the vault, so we don't need that. But we've got our Code Duello with Chain Reaction for mobs. I've got a Sword if needed, Gallahorn, Lament, all that good stuff. We've got our Palmyra that I used in the Vow day 1, but we've got our Storm Chaser with Firing Line, all kinds of good weapons to pop in there. And I'm going to go do some transmog, and I'll be back when I settle on something. All right, we're back with the transmog. This is as good as I can get Star Eater skills. They really need an ornament. This is for the people that need a recap, or if you just skipped how to make the build and everything and you just want what I'm running, here we go. We've got our Blade Barrage, our Radiant Dodge, we've got Triple Jump, Knife Trick, which you can use any melee and jump combo you want. We've got Solar Grenades. You can also use Healing Grenades if you're having issues getting health back in the day 1 raid. We got On Your Mark and Knock 'em Down. And then for our 5 fragments, we've got Ember of Wonder, Ember of Char, Ember of Ashes, Ember of Solace, Malice, and Ember of Benevolence. There's a couple in there you can move around, like this Ember of Ashes. Instead of applying more Scorch stacks, you could do a Radiant melee or something like that. And then for our armor, we've got Harmonic Siphon, Kinetic Siphon, which is really important. You could also swap out Kinetic Siphon for an ammo finder. And then we've got Explosive Wallmaker, which is going to work for a lot of our explosions with our rockets. And if we switch up to a wave launcher, or if we get any ignitions, it's also going to drop wells. We've got Font of Might with Submachine Gun Loader. And then on our chest, we've got Concussive Dampener, Arc Resistance, and Reactive Pulse. This is just to get a little bit more damage out there. This is also to get any of those thralls that are coming to melee you. It's going to explode them. If it is King's Fall and there's a lot of Curse Thrall, you might want to take this off so that you can specifically kill them further away. You could also move Arc Resistance and use one of the reserve mods as well. We've got enough points there for it. And then our Star Eater scales, we've got Recuperation and Absolution. You could also put a second Recuperation here or a different mod here. You can change this to Taking Charge if it's a boss fight and you're not going to be generating any wells from kills. And then on our cloak, we've got Elemental Armaments to also help us generate wells in order to become charged with light and cool down our abilities, all that good stuff. We've got double utility kickstart. However, we are going to probably put an artifact mod in here for Sundering Glare or something like that. So I've left 3 points here for that. If we need more, up to 5 points, we can just remove these utility kickstarts and get that. You could also move the 10 points into mobility, drop down to 90, and be all right to add if there's a good artifact mod that we want to put in there. But so far from the preview, I don't think there's anything we're going to want to put here except for Sundering Glare. So it depends on how many points that is. Once you have everything set up in game with your mods and all that stuff, go back to DIM and we're going to set up the loadout. So go to the loadouts tab up here at the top. You'll see what you have equipped. If you recently just equipped something, make sure you hit this refresh so that it captures all of your changes, but you can see all of our mods here. And all we're going to do is say save loadout. We're going to name it Day 1 King's Fall. Since I'm going to share this with you guys in the description, I'm going to go ahead and remove all the weapons and all the cosmetic stuff here. And so you guys can have the straight build with the mods, the armor, and all the fragments and aspects. We're going to hit save, and then now that's here saved in as our build. But that's it. That is the Solar Hunter Day 1 build. Like I said, we might switch back and forth between Barrage and Golden Gun. Also, keep in mind that Radiant does not stack with things like Well and High Energy Fire and all that good stuff. It's a lower added damage, but it is a nice little added damage for when you're just mobbing around. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did and you want to see my builds for Void and Stasis, then let me know. I also want to put out a potential Arc Hunter Day 1 raid type build on Tuesday or Wednesday right before the raid. So if you want to see those type of videos, then definitely let me know down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.